What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. Today we're on the 1.57 dev server. We're taking a look at the American T-26E4. This is also known as the Super Pershing. This is a brand new tank that's being added in the War Thunder patch. The Super Pershing is far better than the M26 Pershing that is in the game in the regular tech tree. It not only has a far better gun, which gives it better penetration and more killing potential, but that also means that it has to deal with the fact that it's such a heavy gun. So that what they've done is added these compensators up here at the top to help balance the tank when it fires. You've also got additional armor. On the front hull, there's an additional plate, it's a boiler plate that's been added to provide additional armor. And then on the top there, on the turret, there's a mask, if you will. This is 80mm steel that's been added to act kind of as a mask to help prevent easy penetrations into the turret. Now, as far as ammunition, you get a pretty standard selection here of armor piercing and APCBC. You can also get a composite round. The penetration values are similar to what you find on the M26E1. Certainly better than the standard M26 that is currently in the game. Doesn't that sound satisfying? I'm really a big fan of the M26 that is in the game, even though it's obviously got some issues with respect to the power of the gun. It doesn't have the penetration values that the M26E1 does, and it certainly doesn't have the penetration value of the T26E4. And of course, it doesn't have the armor that this tank has. The armor on this is quite nice. Both the mask that protects the turret is going to be a huge upgrade, but also that frontal armor on the hull. It's such a weak spot on the regular M26. It's so thin right there for a 6.7 tank, and to me it's kind of inexcusable. And so what's puzzling about the T26E4 is the battle rating currently. Again, this should be noted that everything on the dev server is subject to change, and I'm hoping that this battle rating will be changed as well, because the standard M26 is a 6.7, the M26E1 is a 6.7, and currently the T26E4 is a 6.7. And to me, these three tanks are not all created equal. The T26E4 is far superior in terms of armor and the gun. It's a lot heavier, so I'm noticing that it's a little bit sluggish in comparison to the M26. But still, the battle rating, I think it should be perhaps a little bit lower, or maybe this should be left at 6.7, and the regular M26 be dropped down to either 6.0 or 6.3. Because to me, these aren't all created equal. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next vehicle. And here we have the Pz.Jg Black Widow. It is a Tier 3, 3.7 battle rating night fighter, heavy fighter, strike fighter, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of a bizarre looking plane. It looks like an A-20G and a P-38 had a baby, and this is the outcome. Armament wise, it has 4 20mm cannons, which are mounted not on the nose but actually on the belly of the plane, which should make for some accurate shooting theoretically. The problem is getting your nose on target, because it's a heavy fighter, and heavy fighters are, generally speaking, very difficult to maneuver. And this does feel surprisingly like an A-20G to me. I'm not sure if this is a temporary flight model or not. We'll just have to see how this transitions into the live server. Armament-wise, again, you get the 420 mils, but they have 800 rounds, which is a lot of firepower. You've also got that turret on top. You see, it looks kind of like a mushroom up there. The turret rotates 360 degrees, so you can fire at anything from just about any angle. It's remarkable, and it could be a problem for simulator battles. Those of you who fly sim are going to have some serious run-ins with this thing, I have to imagine, because one of the banes of a lot of simulator battle pilots is vehicles that have backgunners that you don't have to operate from the cockpit. And there's no cockpit in this thing yet. P-61 is just a standard plane right now, no cockpit view. And so you can use this as a gunship to just absolutely demolish whatever simulator battle pilots are out there. I see this as a potential troll for sim pilots. For arcade and realistic battles, I don't see this being very commonly used, because all I can see is you're going head on basically with everything, because that's all I can do. Then you can take out like the soft targets, the anti-aircraft, the artillery, that kind of thing. But there's no bomb load, so you can't take out pillboxes and big tanks. So I don't know. I think its effectiveness is a little bit limited. Next up, we have the Pz.C1. This is a night fighter version of the Pz.61. It's basically black. It's better in turns. Its climb rate is better. It has bombs. It's got a 4.3 battle rating. It's just a little bit better than the Pz.61A1. That being said, I don't see it as being a particularly useful plane, because its bomb load, yeah, it can carry up to 4,000 pounds, but what's it going to do after that? You know, that's a return to base. What I see this as, it's not an American counterpart, but actually a German counterpart. I see these Pz.61s as being basically an American version of the Do.335 heavy fighters. No one uses them in regular arcade or realistic battles. So to me, these are cool looking planes, but that's about the extent of which they're going to be useful. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think of the Pz.61. And next up we have the Do.335A-0. This is a German heavy fighter, and it is heavy. Emphasis on the heavy. I can't emphasize this enough. This was one of those planes that people have been requesting for a long time. That's why I kind of think of 1.57 as kind of the people's patch, in the sense that a lot of the planes, or tanks even for that matter, have been heavily requested. And chief among them have been the Do.335s. These planes have sort of a weird fan following that I don't quite grasp myself, but, you know, to each his own, I suppose. There are going to be 3 variants of the Do.335. You get the A0, which you're seeing here. You get the A1, which has bomb options, and the B2, which is a premium vehicle, which is currently not available on the dev server at this time. That has two additional 30mm cannons that are mounted to the wings as gun pods, kind of. The A0, which you're seeing here, has one 30mm Mark 103 cannon and 2 MG151 cannons. You got 70 rounds of 30mm cannon ammunition and 400 rounds of 20mm ammunition. So you got quite a bit of firepower here behind this thing. The problem with the Do, however, is its climb rate. This is a pig. It's a whale. Come up with whatever animal analogy you want to use. That is what it is. It does not climb worth a damn. Its turn rate is quite good, and that's about all you can say about it. The only way I can see this being a viable aircraft for realistic battles is if it gets an air spawn, like some of the Me-410s do. And speaking of the Me-410s, this particular model of the Do.335 follows the Me-410 B6R3 in the tech tree. The A1 model follows the other line of Me-410s, so if you are looking to fly either of these planes as soon as 1.57 drops, I recommend researching whatever Me-410s you don't already have, and then you'll be able to research these right away and take this out. Again, climb rate is just, it's horrible. Truly horrible. Turn time is quite nice. Firepower, it's got some serious firepower, there's no question about that. It's just a matter of, what are you going to do? You know, this plane has a battle rating of 5.3. The A1 version has a battle rating of 5.7. So you're going to be seeing Griffin Spitfires and even Bearcats at the higher end. Be facing LE9s. I mean, I really hate to be a buzzkill for those of you who are looking forward to the Do.335, but I really think this is going to be a huge disappointment for those of you who are expecting this to be, you know, the next big thing, because it's so fast. Reports are Tempest couldn't catch it in a dive, and that although that may be true, Tempest is going to outclimb this all day. Almost everything outclimbs it. The stat card, and again, this is just the stat card in realistic battles here on the dev server, has this as a rate of climb of 2.6 meters a second. Oh my god. The only way this is going to be a viable plane in realistic battles is if it gets an air spawn. Period. That's it. End of story. I'm sorry, guys. Next up, we have the new premium tank. This is a new King Tiger. This is the SLA-16. Those of you who are familiar with the other King Tigers, the 2H and the 2P, should be familiar with this. What they've done is they've taken the 2H model, they've put in a, I believe it's a 16-cylinder diesel engine, and they've added a lot of tracks to the turret. You see on the side of the turret, it's just covered in, I believe, 30mm tracks. As far as the gun goes, it's the same old gun that's been on the King Tiger, the 88mm. The ammunition is exactly the same. It's just a new diesel engine, and additional tracks have been added to the turret to get a little bit more protection. As for how much this premium tank costs, I don't know. It's listed on the dev server as being part of a bundle, which you can purchase on the War Thunder store with real money, and as opposed to Golden Eagles. So the price is currently unknown at this time. Now, as far as my opinion of this, I'm a huge fan of the King Tiger. I put a talisman on the 2H version of the King Tiger as soon as I unlocked it. I spaded that in no time. I've since unlocked several other tanks because of it. I'm well into tier 5 now, and I don't think I'll be buying the premium version because I already have the talisman on the 2H. But those of you who haven't gotten quite that far in the German tech tree, I think this is a tank that you could pick up. It's a really good, solid tank. We'll just have to see about the price. Because it's going to be a tier 4, it'll probably be a fairly expensive tank. We'll just have to wait and see how it all fleshes out on the store. Next up, we have the 4.7cm Pz.Jg 1. This is a tier 1, 1.7 battle rating German tank destroyer. Think of it as a very early martyr. It has incredibly light armor, 13mm of hull armor, 14mm of turret armor. So this thing is going to be destroyed by just about every little anti-aircraft gun in the game. But it does actually have a decent little gun. It's got a 47mm gun, which fires both APCR and APC rounds. I'll put armor values in the upper right-hand corner so you can take a look at. It's, you know, for a tier 1 tank, this is actually really good. There are far worse rounds at higher tiers, so this gun should be pretty useful. Just a matter of surviving, and that could be a problem. Next up, we have the Dicker Max, a 4.3 battle rating tier 3 German tank destroyer. This thing has an enormous gun. This has the 105mm K18 cannon. This is a rear field gun. Because this has very thin armor, you're going to have to sit in the back of the map and basically camp. You're not going to be able to push forward and push the cap with this thing. It just doesn't have the kind of armor for it. 50mm of hull armor and 30mm of turret armor just isn't going to cut it. But the gun, holy smokes, this thing's got a gun. It has both, it has 3 ammunition types. It has armor piercing, it has high explosive, and it has ABCBC rounds. Here in this tank test drive, I'm only limited to armor piercing rounds, and so I don't have the ABCBC rounds, which are capable of packing a bigger punch because it has the high explosive charge inside of it. Armor piercing lack that high explosive, but still, what you're about to see is a good example of what you can do with a side shot. Just take out that big tank without any troubles whatsoever. It was a side shot, of course, but still. This thing is going to be capable of taking out tanks from the front, and at 4.3 battle rating, this is going to be quite a challenging tank to deal with considering its long distance range. It has -15 for its vertical guidance, which means it's got incredible gun depression. So this should allow it to rest on one side of the hill and peer over the hill and shoot down at whatever is on the other side. This could be a really good tank for that kind of a situation, but you know, for me as an arcade player, I don't see this being a particularly useful tank because of its thin armor. However, if you're playing realistic battles or even simulated battles, I think this will do very well in those battles because the maps are larger and you don't have the enemy name markers popping up overhead. So you should be able to have a lot better survivability in those modes. In arcade, I think you're going to be dead in just a matter of seconds. Next up, we have the Nashorn, otherwise known as the Rhinoceros. This is a Tier 3 5.0 battle rating tank destroyer for the Germans. Upon looking at it, it reminds me very much of the other SPGs in the game. Very thin armor. You got a little funny face looking there in the armor. I got some extra tracks there on the frontal lower glacis there to help prevent some penetrations there. But I don't think it's going to do much at this tier 5.0. It's going to be facing tigers and panthers and IS-1s. It's got some serious competition going for it. From a gun depression standpoint, it doesn't have the negative gun depression that the Dicker Max does. This, I believe, is more of a long-range firing kind of a gun. It's got the same gun that the German Tiger II has, the King Tiger. It's got the 88mm gun, and it's exact same ammunition types. So it's basically a King Tiger inside of an SPG. That's basically what it is, and since I don't have the Dicker Max, I can't take this out for a test drive. Next up, we have the Pz.Sfl.IVa, a Tier 3, 3.3 battle rating Soviet SPAA. This is quite literally a pickup truck with 2 guns mounted on the back of it. It's a pair of 25mm 72K cannons, which fire at an astonishing rate of 240 rounds per minute. It's got a pretty good fire rate, I have to say, for tier 3. I don't use SPAs very often, so I don't have very good thoughts on these. I tend to think of these as troll vehicles more than anything. Because yes, you can use these to kill tanks. I actually have, well, I believe it was an Ausf that I took out in arcade, and I killed 8 vehicles just by playing aggressive, by playing it like I would a medium tank. It was hilarious. But I generally don't use SPAs unless I just want to be a troll. I know in realistic battles, they're the bane of a lot of people's existence. They absolutely hate them things. And yeah, it's not the greatest gun, but it does have a lot of ammunition. So I don't know. This is one of those vehicles I'm not going to personally use very much. I only have like 1 or 2 of my SPAs upgraded all the way, so that just goes to show you how much I favor these kinds of vehicles. But if you do happen to get a nice little side shot on something, you can definitely take them out. And this thing is quite fast in a straight line, so you can get out there and look at the light show. Okay, on to the next one. And the next one is the T-44-100. This is a battle rating 7.0 medium tank at rank 4. The only thing I don't like about the T-44 is the vertical guidance, the gun depression, -3. It's very limiting to the number of targets you can get because of slopes on the terrain. Really, the only thing that I dislike about Russian tanks in general is just the poor gun depression. It makes it very difficult to get your gun on your target and take them out. That being said, the T-44-100 should be a nice little upgrade for those of you who are familiar with the regular T-44. A lot of people were surprised that this wasn't a premium version. I'm actually glad that it isn't. Russia could actually use another non-premium vehicle. Their Tier 4 premium list is actually quite extensive already, so I don't think that they really needed one. Besides, but there already is a premium T-44, the 122, and that's a pretty damn good little tank. Now, aside from the gun depression, the only thing I dislike about the T-44-100 is the side armor. You notice that the 100 gets the side skirts, and while that's great for dealing with heat rounds, I think it makes the tank look a little bit boxy. I know I'm nitpicking here, but with aesthetics. But what can I say? There's not a whole lot to dislike about this tank, to be completely honest with you. It's basically the gun depression is the only thing I really dislike. The cosmetics to the boxiness, it's small stuff. This is going to be a very popular tank, as the regular T-44 already is. And you put a better gun with some additional side skirt armor on it, this is going to be used quite extensively. Next up, we have the Sunderland Mark IIIA flying boat, heavy bomber. This This is one of the more peculiar vehicles to be added in War Thunder. This is the Flying Hotel, as it was also referred to as. It was based on a passenger aircraft and mail carrier. It's a very interesting looking bomber. It has 4 Browning 7.7mm machine guns in the nose, got 3 turrets. It's capable of carrying 8 250-pound bombs, or 4 500-pound bombs. Or perhaps most interestingly, you can take off the bombs and just go, I guess, attacker mode with your 4 little 30 cal machine guns. I don't think that's going to happen, right? That's so bizarre. Well, in the test drive, bomb options were not available for me, so I had to leave off the bomb options and just go with the machine guns, which was obviously not what I wanted to do. I wanted to test out the bombs, and I wanted to show off the interesting mechanism that they use for deploying the bombs. Because this is it's a boat, they couldn't attach bombs onto the underside, so they had to deal with the hermetical seal of the whole thing on the underside. So what they did was they had a mechanism on the inside of the fuselage that would send the bombs out on rails along the underside of the wings. And I wanted to show this off, but unfortunately bombs weren't an option, so we'll have to wait for the wait for the live version, unfortunately. Or maybe they'll offer a dev server with those bombs as an option for us. One thing I did notice is this thing, because it's so enormous, whenever you try to zoom in to shoot your targets, the targets weren't in your zoom anymore. They're so far away. They're actually out of the top of the frame. So if you're gonna use this as a gunship, if you will, you're gonna have to figure out how to aim without zooming in. You have to get reaccustomed to that. I tend to use zoom all the time. It's just an old habit of when I started playing more than 3 years ago. I've always used zoom. But with this plane, you might have to break that habit. Next up, we have the Venom FAW20 jet fighter for the British. It's a 9.0 battle rating, tier 5. And as you may have noticed, I actually got an air spawn on this. I don't know if this is a sign of things to come or if this is just a temporary thing. And hello, we have a co-pilot. Nigel's looking awfully dapper in his new flight suit, don't you think? The Venom is the only 2-seater fighter jet in the game. Again, it comes with a battle rating of 9.0. It has 4 20mm Hispano Mark 5s with 600 rounds of ammunition. All in all, it looks like a very nice, sleek looking fighter. Now, according to the dev blog, it says that the de Havilland Ghost engine is capable of powering the aircraft to a respectable speed of just over 1,000 kilometers per hour. However, if you look at the dev server stat card, it only listed as 909 kilometers per hour. I'm not sure if the stat card is wrong or if the article is wrong. Either way, all I can say for sure is that within my few minutes of testing this plane, I didn't find the top speed to be all that impressive. It just felt like a good all-around plane. Nothing spectacular, nothing fascinating, just a good plane. And whether that belongs at a 9.0 is not for me to decide, because I'm not. And those of you who are familiar with my channel know that I'm not a jet pilot. High tier jets are not my thing. So right now the battle ratings for jets just in general are kind of messed up. This does have air brakes, not the most fascinating looking air brakes. It does have air brakes nonetheless. So as far as the performance of this aircraft, I'm gonna have to say the jury is out in this one. I'm gonna have to wait for this thing to get on the live server and for the flight model to be updated to whatever is the final version. Because right now I'm a little bit underwhelmed, to be honest with you. But again, this is just a couple of minutes. I wouldn't write this plane off just on my very, very early impressions on this thing. It does look nice though, doesn't it? It's a beautiful looking plane. Next up, we switched over to British Ground Forces, where we find the 7.7 battle rating Tier 5 SPA known as the Falcon. Just listen to these guns. Oh, little troll machine. The Falcon has a 30mm HSS 831L cannon, 2 of them to be exact, spitting out a rate of fire of 600 rounds a minute per gun, has a reload rate of 65 seconds. It's an SPA, so it doesn't have much armor. Got 12mm of hull armor, 10 in the turret, and my god, this thing is actually quite quick. It reminds me of some of the other SPAs in the game. I haven't unlocked any of the other Tier 5 SPAs though, so I haven't experienced this myself. But I've certainly been in enough planes to have been shot down by some of these damn things, so I know how powerful they can be. Yes! Oh my god! Oh, this is so much fun. I know this is only a test server or a test drive, but still, this is so much fun. That bored little tank just got obliterated by these 20mm or these 230 mils. Can we take out the Panther though? A little bit thicker armor because I'm running into some tracks. Still took out a couple crew members. I should blow all our ammo in this thing. The light show. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is just as much fun to do as it looks. And I'm out of ammo. That poor Panther. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to use in custom battles and frankly just in normal battles. My god. Alright, let's get into the next tank. It's actually the last tank. That's the FV4004 Conway. A British tank destroyer. It's a rank 5 with a battle rating of 7.0. The Conway borrows its chassis from the Centurion Mark III, but they needed a new turret, so they had to build a new one. So they have a nice tall turret with 132mm of turret armor, which is one of the heavier turrets in the current British tech tree lineup. The height of the turret actually makes it look like a KV-2 from the Soviet Union, and that's why some people actually refer to it as the British KV-2, although the gun is far different from the KV-2's howitzer. We have a 120mm ordnance quick-firing TK L1A1 cannon. Think of this as, I believe it's the same cannon as what's on the Conqueror, which is a 7.7 British tank. And like the Conqueror, the Conway shoots both APDS as well as HESH rounds. But with the way that Gaijin has nerfed APDS, I don't think people are going to be using that very well, or very commonly. I think HESH is going to be the way to go for this tank. They could pen 145mm of armor, and I think this is going to be what most people are going to be using. The APDS nerf has really killed my enthusiasm for a lot of British tanks. But I have to admit, the HESH could be the one saving grace to this tank. Armor-wise, while it does have 132mm of turret armor, at 7.0, that's really nothing, unfortunately. As far as the hull, it's only at 76mm in the front, and so you're going to have to hull down and hide in the back of the map. I suspect this is going to be a better tank in realistic battles or simulator battles than, say, arcade, because of the thin armor. It's just unfortunately the truth about a lot of the British tanks. It's that they just don't have much armor to protect the crew members. Last, but certainly not least, we come upon the Ki-83 Heavy Fighter. This is a Tier 4 battle rating 6.0 fighter from the Japanese tech tree. This has two 30mm Ho 155 cannons with 160 rounds of ammunition, and two 20mm Ho 5 cannons with 320 rounds of ammunition. You can also have two 50kg bombs strapped to this thing. I would never even consider putting bombs on this thing, or really any Japanese vehicle. A heavy fighter like this, all you have to look at it, it screams fast. It is one of the sleekest looking planes that I can think of in War Thunder. It looks like a sleeker miniature Tiger Cat. Doesn't have the kind of armament that the Tiger Cat does. But these two engines are quite powerful. has a climb rate of 17 meters per second according to the stat card. And you know what? This thing feels fast. Just in my few minutes of flying this around, it feels fast. I have to give Gaijin a lot of credit. They've made this model look amazing inside and out. The cockpit is beautiful. It makes me wish I could read Japanese, to be honest with you. But still, all that aside, it's a beautiful looking aircraft. The question is, of course, how can it compete against the other planes at its tier? Again, this is 6.0. You're going to face Griffin Spitfires, you're going to face Bearcats, face LA-9s. You're going to face some very stiff competition. Supposedly, this was able to compete with America's best aircraft at the time. Now, how real-world data is going to compete with video game data, I don't know. I suspect it's going to be more of a bomber hunter, although I can see that people will try to compete with Bearcats and Spitfires or whatever else happens to be in the area, but I think this is going to be more of a bomber hunter, similar to the Tiger Cat is for the Americans. The Tiger Cat is obviously a big, heavy boom and zoomer, whereas this is a much lighter, sleeker vehicle. But I think their use is going to be more similar than anything. I have a difficult time believing this is going to honestly compete with a Spitfire. But that being said, in my couple of minutes of flying this around, the energy retention on this did surprise me. It really impressed me. The engine temperatures, however, were a concern of mine. It didn't take long. I didn't try manual engine controls on the dev server. I just stuck with the auto controls, and the engines overheat really quickly with wet. So I'm thinking wartime emergency power is going to have to be either used to a minimum, or we're going to have to use manual engine controls to help with that radiator, to open the radiator and provide a little bit better cooling. Because if you're going to be able to compete with Spitfires and Bearcats and LA-9s, you're going to have to push that engine really hard. And if it's constantly overheating, that's going to be a big problem. You're going to have your engine fails in the middle of a battle. That's going to have a big problem, because it's good luck landing this on some of those specific maps. This is a big fighter. You know, it may not be that, you know, as heavy as a Tiger Cat, but it's still a sizable fighter. It's also quite maneuverable. I have to admit, it's more maneuverable than I expected. I'm really looking forward to this. This is probably the one plane that I'm most excited about trying when the patch goes live. The Key 3, it looks like a lot of fun. As far as the tanks go, I'm really looking forward to that Super Pershing, the T26E4. It's just a matter of what the battle rating is going to be. The like 7.6 or excuse me 6.7 is a little bit confusing compared to its good capabilities and the other M26s in the game. We'll have to see where Gaijin ends up sticking all these M26s and how the battle ratings shake out. So let me know what you guys think of all these planes and tanks that I previewed in today's video. I covered every vehicle that was available for flight on the dev server, on the first version, the 1.57 dev server. In all honesty, there's probably going to be another dev server available at some point. I might have to see what other vehicles they announced. There was some video of a British tank that has yet to be announced that was in the teaser video. It was the Chieftain. That is yet to be formally announced. As soon as Gaijin puts that on the dev server, I'm going to take a look at that and try to get a video out so you guys can take a look at that and judge that for yourself. Anyway guys, I thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care guys.